Now we are in 2023. Some great films are coming out. I think this is going to be one of the strongest year for film, especially for huge franchises, and that's why I'm really excited. There are a few up and coming films as well which we have never heard about, or they are the first of probably many films of a franchise to come out. But yeah, this is my top 10 list of what I think I should be excited for, or I am excited for. These are in no particular order, by the way. These are all literally coming out as the year goes on. So the first one is Megan. And Megan, for me, it's one of those films which might be a cult classic, but also might be a box office bomb. You got James Wan and Blumhouse Productions working together to produce this film about a AI robot who is basically tasked with looking after a girl whose parents died in a car crash, and her auntie is looking after her. But in this case, this auntie gets a robot for her niece just so she can have someone to connect with. But unfortunately, something snaps in this robot and just ends up killing everyone that gets close to the niece. It's very similar to Chucky, but I'm looking forward to it. I just love the element of AI taking over and going crazy and killing people. I just think that's a lot of fun. Next one is Scream, and I love Scream. I think Scream is one of my favorite franchises when it comes to slasher horrors, and I grew up watching them. And honestly, number 1 was great, number 2 was good, number 3 was okay. Actually, I like number 3. Number 4, not too much. Number 5, I liked, and number 6 now, it's literally Ghostface faces Manhattan. But in this case, well, I'm just hoping if they can have that sort of gore factor that they had in Scream 5. In terms of people who watched it recently, part 1, 2, 3, and 4 was helmed by Wes Craven, and he was a horror icon for directing these films. And now you have a bit of a different direction. You could tell that in Scream 5, and I think you can tell this in Scream 6. But if they can sort of bring the same formula that I had for Scream 5, because Scream 5 wasn't a bad movie, I quite enjoyed it, but if they can bring the same formula back, then I think it'll be a really good film. Next one for me is John Wick 4. Now, I've been a big fan of John Wick franchises since back in 2014 when the first film came out, and I remember watching it as a sleeper hit, and I watched it on DVD when it came out. I heard about it and I was very excited because I love Keanu Reeves movies, but when they started releasing every 2-3 years a new movie, I got so excited. I just knew that this was going to be a franchise that was just going to take off, and it did, thankfully. And it's literally a video game. Every single movie just gets crazier and it gets more action packed, and honestly I just wish they can continue this as long as Keanu Reeves can bring all the fights into the big screen. But yeah, John Wick 4 is going to have probably even more crazy set pieces than we ever seen. So yeah, looking forward to that. This one's a bit of a weird one because animation films are kind of a hit and miss sometimes, but Super Mario Bros. For me, it's another film which I'm looking forward to because I love the games as I grew up with them when I was a kid. But at the same time, I'm just really hoping that Chris Pratt does the voice justice, because I know there was a lot of controversy online that his voice wasn't the right voice to have for Mario, and people said, why didn't you just get the original voice actor for Mario in this? And I think it just would have worked quite well if they did, but at the same time, I guess they wanted to go with a different route, especially with the star power that you have. But arguably, people would say that the original voice of Mario would have been just as good as Chris Pratt. So yeah, looking forward to it regardless. This is my most anticipated animation of the year, and that's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The reason why this is one of my most anticipated is because I loved the first one. First film was great. I loved the stylistic choices they went for. Every Spider-Man had their own sort of like unique animation. They had so many animators on board for this movie. Broke the record for the most animators for one film, and that says a lot because there are hundreds of Spider-Mans in this film, and you can just watch the trailer again and you can see all of them lined up, and they're going as far as Spider-Man 1. They're going as far as probably bringing in Tom Holland's and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, which people have somehow said that we've seen the costumes inside the trailer. So I'm looking forward to it. I just want to see how crazy they go, because this is just another multiverse in animation form, so I'm looking forward to it. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I worked on this. I'm very excited to see it. I've watched all of them again just recently. I did a whole binge watch from Mission Impossible 1, 2, 3, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and now Fallout. And honestly, I'm looking forward to this because this is a two-part. Originally, this was being shot straight after most of the crew finished working on No Time to Die, and they split off to 2 different crews. Some of them went to the Batman, some of them went to Dead Reckoning Part 1, but Dead Reckoning Part 1 and 2 was supposed to be shot back to back, but unfortunately COVID hit. But now we have a release date and it's coming out this year, and honestly, I've just seeing the videos of Tom Cruise doing the most craziest stunts ever, and it just gives me a big smile on my face because of the fact that Tom Cruise is still giving us his all to show us that people do care about making films. And as an actor, as a director as well, I think he's just pushing the boundaries of what is capable of a movie, and honestly I'm just so glad this film is coming out soon. Next is Oppenheimer. Now Oppenheimer, literally you could just say one sentence, that is Christopher Nolan. Just say his name and people will be like, okay, I'm going to watch that film. Christopher Nolan just somehow knows how to make a film interesting, even though it's not probably the most interesting subject ever. It's literally about the person who created the first atomic bomb and his character development of how he actually came to be. And honestly, I think Christopher Nolan will blow this out the park, no pun intended, because I just know for a fact that he'll make this visually one of the most beautiful films ever, especially the fact that he is going all out to trying to make an atomic explosion without the use CGI, which kind of scared a lot of people thinking he actually is going to blow an atomic bomb. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually did, but with safe parameters, of course, without the killing effect. But yeah, it's got such a star-studded cast. You got literally Robert Downey Jr., Cillian Murphy, you've got Florence Pugh. Like, I could just go on with all these sort of like actors and actresses in the film, and it's just gonna be breathtaking. And it's the first film that's being shot on IMAX and in black and white, so that's something new for you, Christopher Nolan. If you watch his movies, you just know it's good cinema. Next is Dune Part 2. Now, when I heard about Dune Part 1 many years ago with Denis Villeneuve, who said that he was going to create this new sci-fi film which is going to blow people's minds, and obviously I saw a lot of sci-fi films over the years, like Arrival, for example, which I think is probably one of the best sci-fi films that I've seen, and I didn't have much expectations for Dune Part 1, but then when I watched it in cinemas in Dolby, I was absolutely blown away. Of course, you would either love it or you hate it, but after that, I was just expecting the announcement for Dune Part 2, and thank God they gave it straight after, because a lot of people were worried that this film was going to bomb in the box office. But it was announced, and now Dune Part 2 is literally coming out this year. Yeah, it's just surprising how fast that happened. And I'm just glad to see that this film is getting a sequel, because it's astonishing filmmaking. Obviously, Denis he's just a master at the sci-fi genre, and obviously watching all these sci-fi films over the years, it just made me think that if you can have a director who is in such close contact with a certain genre, you should let him make all those films for that particular genre, and this is no different. So I'm just looking forward to this. I'm hoping to see more character development. I want to see more of the world around Dune, and I just want to see it develop even more. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm absolutely going to watch it in either IMAX or Dolby 3D. Next, Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. Honestly, the Kingdom of Crystal Skull is probably one of the worst films I've seen. It was absolute dog shit. It was so bad. I didn't have much love for it. It was just really poor filmmaking. It was very poor and lazy filmmaking for me, and the story just didn't make any sense. It just didn't have that factor that all the other Indiana Jones films had. And honestly, after watching the trailer for Dial of Destiny, it actually looks quite fun, especially with the de-aging of Harrison Ford, which looks insane. And I'm hoping this is a redemption arc for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull of how bad that was. And plus, the director as well, James Mangold. How can you go wrong with James Mangold? The films that he's made, he's got such a great track record, especially after watching Logan in cinemas. I was bawling my eyes out. If he could do the same thing with this, imagine if he kills off Indy. I'll be very sad. But yeah, I am looking forward to this. I don't care what people say. It's probably going to be one of his last few films. I really hope it isn't, but if it is, what a way to go. The final one for me is Killer of the Flower Moon. Another thing is, I didn't know anything about this movie until I started doing this video. I saw some pictures online last year. When I mean last year, I mean a few days ago. I saw some pictures online of that one still of Leonardo DiCaprio sitting down on a chair with a table with a woman next to him, and I had no idea what was going on. But the fact it's directed by Martin Scorsese, the fact that it has Brendan Fraser in it, and it's an event. I love his films, and I grew up watching Martin Scorsese films. I know he had a lot of beef with Marvel and every actor who worked for Marvel, saying it's not true cinema. But hey, if I have love for both, and if there's a Martin Scorsese film that I'm going to watch, it's going to be this, and I don't care, because at the end of the day, Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio are a great partnership to have on a film, and I'm just glad that we're going to have another film with them two, partnering up once again, and I'm just looking forward to it. So yeah, that's my most anticipated films. If you got any other films, if you think there's any other film that I've missed that I should have put on this list, or if there's any film that you expect to be really good in cinemas this year, let me know. And hopefully, if you liked the video, if you liked the list, please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and hopefully I get to see you in my next video.